Hello everyone, welcome to Stoic Wisdom today. Let me ask you this. Why is it that in so many places, in business, in politics, even in community life, the people who rise to the top are not always the wisest, the kindest, or the most capable, but often the loudest, the boldest, and sometimes the most self-serving? It's a strange and uncomfortable truth. We've all seen it. Someone who seems magnetic in public, yet leaves a trail of broken trust behind closed doors. Today, we're going to explore why this happens and why history shows it's not an accident. Over 500 years ago, the sharp and often controversial thinker Niccolò Machiavelli revealed that leadership isn't just about skill or virtue. It's also about mastering perception, understanding human nature, and knowing how power actually works in the real world. In this lesson, we'll break it down into 3 parts. First, who are the narcissists, liars, and fools we see in leadership? Second, why systems and human psychology seem to reward them. And third, how we can use Machiavelli's timeless wisdom to lead better or demand better. Whether you're aiming to lead, navigating a tricky workplace, or just curious about why the world sometimes works upside down, this journey will help you see through the fog and protect yourself from being misled. Let's begin. Part 1. Who are the narcissists, liars, and fools? To understand why leadership often rewards these personalities, we first need to know exactly who they are, what drives them, and why their behaviors can be so persuasive. 1. The narcissist, the charismatic self-promoter. Narcissists carry 3 main traits: an inflated sense of their own importance, a constant hunger for admiration, a lack of true empathy for others. At first glance, they're magnetic. Their confidence can light up a room and draw people in instantly. In short encounters, like a job interview, a big meeting, or a public speech, they often appear more capable than they actually are. You might recognize this pattern. The leader who always takes center stage, speaks with absolute certainty, and paints a picture so compelling that you start to believe they can't possibly be wrong. In the business world, this could be a CEO with big visions of revolutionizing an industry. Employees and investors feel inspired until they discover the leader is taking credit for other people's work, ignoring feedback, or chasing personal fame at the company's expense. History gives us bigger-than-life examples too. Napoleon Bonaparte's relentless ambition carried him to unimaginable heights, but his ego also pushed him into disastrous decisions that cost countless lives. Narcissists thrive because they are masters of self-promotion. In a society where attention often equals opportunity, their ability to stand out becomes their greatest asset. But over time, the same traits that lift them up, arrogance, impulsivity, vindictiveness, can damage morale, erode trust, and destabilize entire organizations. 2. The liar, the architect of perception. Liars in leadership aren't always telling outright falsehoods. More often, they work in the shadows of the truth, exaggerating the good parts, hiding the bad, and shaping the story to fit the moment. Machiavelli famously wrote that a leader must be both a fox and a lion, clever enough to spot traps and strong enough to frighten opponents. Liars take the fox part to heart. Imagine a politician who says one thing to one audience and the complete opposite to another, carefully avoiding being pinned down. Or an executive who paints a glowing picture of the company's future to secure funding, knowing full well the numbers don't add up yet. Studies on human behavior show that strategic deception can help people climb faster in certain environments. Why? Because it creates momentum, wins allies, and gives the impression of control. At least for a while. Liars know how to read a room. They adjust their tone, words, and promises to match exactly what their listeners want to hear. But here's the catch. When the truth finally comes out, and it usually does, the trust they built crumbles fast and the damage can be hard to repair. The fool, the bold risk-taker. Fool here doesn't mean unintelligent. It means someone willing to leap before looking, to take big risks without overthinking. And sometimes that audacity pays off. They can disrupt stagnant systems, inspire people with their daring, and catch competitors by surprise. Their overconfidence, even when misplaced, can be mistaken for vision and decisiveness. Think about the startup founder who launches with no clear business plan, but somehow gains traction through sheer energy and fearlessness. Or Christopher Columbus, whose bold and arguably reckless journey west led to the discovery of the Americas, despite his major miscalculations. Modern figures like Elon Musk also fit here. Starting SpaceX with little aerospace experience was a huge gamble, but it eventually paid off. Yet impulsive statements and risky moves have also brought chaos and controversy. Fools succeed because they act while others hesitate. In fast-moving worlds like technology, politics, or social change, this decisiveness can look like leadership. But the same impulsiveness that drives them forward can also lead to reckless mistakes, leaving others to clean up the mess. Part 2. Why systems and psychology reward them. Leadership doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's shaped by the way humans think, by the structures we build, and by the values our societies choose to reward. So why do narcissists, liars, and fools so often rise to the top? The answer lies in two big forces: our psychology and the systems we operate in. 1. The psychology of followership. Humans are wired to follow people who look confident, decisive, and exciting. Thousands of years ago, that made sense. In times of danger, you wanted someone who acted fast, projected certainty, and could inspire others to move. Narcissists know how to project that image perfectly. They speak with conviction, even when they're guessing. They walk into a room as if they belong there, and people read that as competence. Liars tap into our emotions: hope, fear, ambition. A well-told story can feel more real than a stack of data, and our brains are more likely to follow someone who makes us feel something than someone who just gives us facts. Fools, with their bold, unpredictable actions, give us a rush of excitement. They do what others hesitate to do. In a world where so much feels cautious and calculated, that energy can feel refreshing, even heroic. The problem? Our brains are quick to judge and slow to reevaluate. We often mistake a narcissist's arrogance for confidence, a liar's flexibility for adaptability, or a fool's recklessness for courage. These misreads give the wrong people an early advantage. 2. The structure of organizations. Modern organizations, whether they're companies, governments, or non-profits, often prioritize short-term, visible results over long-term, invisible ones. Narcissists thrive in this environment because they focus on the wins people can see: a spike in sales, a flashy new product, a headline in the media. They know how to showcase success in ways that fit the scoreboard. Liars flourish in systems with weak accountability. When nobody checks the numbers closely, when results are too complex to verify quickly, they can craft a story that sounds convincing long enough to climb another rung on the ladder. Fools shine in chaotic or innovative spaces, like startups or political campaigns, where moving fast is valued more than moving carefully. They break the rules, and sometimes by sheer luck or timing, they succeed big. Machiavelli might say that these people understand the game. They align themselves with the priorities of the moment, whether or not those priorities are wise. 3. The competitive arena. Leadership is often a high-stakes competition, and narcissists, liars, and fools are often willing to do what others won't. Narcissists relentlessly promote themselves, even at the cost of pushing others aside. Liars bend ethical lines to gain allies or quietly undermine rivals. Fools take risks others avoid, sometimes hitting jackpots the cautious never touch. Think of the entrepreneur who oversells a product to investors before it's ready and uses that money to make it real. Or the politician who dominates headlines with impossible promises but wins the election anyway. In a competitive environment, playing ruthlessly can work, at least for a while. And our systems often don't punish those tactics until the damage is already done. 4. The flaws in reward systems. This isn't just bad luck, it's the result of flawed systems. When performance metrics focus only on the next quarter's numbers, the next election cycle, or the next viral moment, they create incentives for quick wins at any cost. Narcissists exploit this by chasing visible victories, no matter the long-term cost. Liars use it to spin short-term stories that buy them time. Fools rush in with big, risky moves that grab attention, even if the fallout comes later. In corporate life, bonuses and promotions are often tied to immediate gains, not sustainable growth. In politics, airtime and poll numbers matter more than carefully researched policy. The result? We reward people who look like they're winning, instead of those building something that lasts. Walk all. And right here, Machiavelli's lens becomes powerful. He never said these traits were good. He simply recognized they were effective in certain systems, and that to change the outcomes, you have to change the rules of the game. Part 3. Machiavelli's lessons for today. Machiavelli's The Prince is often seen as a cold, cynical guide to power. But if you look closer, it's also a mirror, showing us how people and systems really work. And it gives us tools to navigate those realities without losing ourselves. Here are 5 lessons we can draw, whether you're leading, following, or working to change the system. Lesson 1. Perception shapes power. A leader's success often depends less on what they achieve and more on how they are perceived. Narcissists master this by projecting unshakable confidence. Liars shape it with carefully crafted stories. Fools make bold moves that people remember. For aspiring leaders, the takeaway is simple. You must learn to communicate with clarity and conviction. That doesn't mean faking it. It means presenting your ideas in ways people can easily connect with and believe in. In the workplace, this could mean practicing how you present a project update, focusing on impact, not just process. For followers, it means looking past the shine. Ask yourself, do their actions match their words? Do they lift others up, or only themselves? Lesson 2. Adaptability wins. Machiavelli wrote that a leader should be both a fox, clever and adaptable, and a lion, bold and strong. Liars use adaptability to shift their message for different audiences. Narcissists adapt to protect their image. Fools act quickly when others hesitate. For you, adaptability means reading the room, adjusting your approach, and staying flexible when circumstances change without compromising your principles. In a job interview, for example, highlight the parts of your experience that fit the role while still being truthful. For organizations, adaptability means encouraging innovation, but pairing it with transparency so that creativity doesn't become cover for deception. Lesson 3. Strategy is everything. You need your own strategy. Narcissists, liars, and fools often succeed because they have a game plan, even if it's self-serving. They know which levers to pull, who to talk to, and when to act. If you want to compete, you need your own strategy. Build genuine alliances. Make your contributions visible. Take calculated risks when the timing is right. For example, volunteering for a high-profile project can raise your credibility, but only if you're prepared to deliver. On a larger scale, organizations can use checks and balances, like independent oversight or peer reviews, to make sure strategy serves the mission, not just the ego at the top. Lesson 4. Break the mold. wisely. Fools often succeed because they challenge norms. They disrupt routines, shake people awake, and sometimes spark innovation that would never have happened otherwise. This can be a good thing, but only when it's balanced with preparation. Before proposing a radical change, do your homework. Understand the risks and anticipate the pushback. For companies, this means creating spaces where bold ideas can be tested safely, like innovation labs or pilot programs, so recklessness doesn't sink the ship. Lesson 5. Understand the system. Perhaps Machiavelli's greatest insight was this: power flows to those who understand the rules of the game. Narcissists, liars, and fools win because they exploit the incentives around them. Short-term rewards, weak accountability, human bias. If you want to navigate or change the system, you first have to study it. In a corporate setting, find out what really drives promotions. Is it sales numbers, innovation, relationships? Then align your work accordingly, while holding on to your values. For bigger change, advocate for reforms that reward integrity and long-term results. Imagine a workplace where bonuses are tied not just to profits, but to customer trust and employee well-being. Or a political system where transparency and evidence-based policy are valued over popularity contests. Bringing it all together. If you're a leader, develop confidence and communication, but anchor them in truth. If you're a follower, be cautious of charm without substance. If you're part of a system, push for reward structures that value sustainability and ethics. The dark side of leadership will always exist, but if more people learn to recognize it and act with both wisdom and courage, the balance can shift. Conclusion: be the one who sees clearly. We've seen why narcissists, liars, and fools so often find themselves in positions of power. It's not always because they're the best for the job, but because they know how to work human nature, play to our instincts, and take advantage of the systems we live in. Machiavelli didn't glorify them, he simply told the truth. In the real world, perception, adaptability, and strategy often win over pure virtue. And if we don't understand that, we can be fooled by confidence without competence, by charisma without character. But knowing this changes the game. When you understand the patterns, you can protect yourself from being misled. You can choose leaders who match words with actions. You can lead with strength, but without ego. You can build systems that reward honesty, not just hype. So here's the challenge. Look around at the leaders in your life, at work, in your community, even in your personal circles. Ask yourself, do they serve themselves or the people they lead? Do they tell the truth or only the version that benefits them? Are they bold with purpose or reckless without thinking? And most importantly, how will you lead when it's your turn? Because leadership is not about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the clearest. It's about standing steady when others shake. It's about influence without ego. Thank you for watching Stoic Wisdom today. Comment below. I choose to lead with clarity. And as always, stay grounded, stay wise, and stay stoic.